The protagonists are Elizabeth Jane, Susan, and Donald Farfair. Susan is the wife of Henchard, and Elizabeth Jane is the presumed daughter of Henchard. As the family leaves to find a job in the small town, Henchard sells his wife and daughter to earn money and leaves. Years later, Jane and Susan continue to wander around, but arrive in a town called Casterbridge, where Henchard is the mayor of the city. Henchard and Jane gets back together, but Susan soon dies, and Henchard leaves Jane as he finds out that Jane isn't his biological daughter. Henchard is the antagonist who continues to trash his family and leaves a painful mark. As mentioned before, the story is located in an ominous town called Casterbridge. Throughout the novel, the narrator maintains a sense of detachment and a tone of distance, describing the setting, landscapes, and objects with constant general tone. This uncertain dark tone for the setting foreshadows to a potential negative event in the future. Uniquely, this novel does not have any dates or locations. This, in fact, contributes to the whole distant mood the author is establishing. The climax of the novel is when Jane and Susan comes to the town of Casterbridge and meets Henchard again. Until then, they each maintain a peaceful life, forgetting about the past. However, the moment they meet and marry again, it brings down the whole story to a steep hill, leading to tragic events such as Susan's death and Henchard living Jane again. The book holds a very controversial theme of gender norms and sexuality. Throughout the novel, with a gender perspective, a wrong decision of male has led to a wrongful ending. This provokes the readers to imagine if the ending would have been different if there was a mutual power between the two genders during their whole marriage. The concept of women having less power in a society can be controversial among certain audience. My favorite passage was towards the ending after Henchard's death, when Jane fulfilled his last wishes during his funeral. Despite Henchard's mistreatments, Jane demonstrated loyalty and commitment to the family relationship in the end. The message that it was self-destruction that brought him down, nothing else was present, and the theme felt really personal to me, and that's why it was my favorite passage. The narration is done from a third-person point of view in which the narrator focuses mainly on four central characters. The narrator moves in and out of these characters' mindsets, explaining their motivations, plans, and disappointments to the reader. The narrator understands the characters better than they understand themselves. Even when a character makes a mistake, the narrator seems to understand where the character is coming from. Furthermore, a third-person point of view reveals information the characters aren't aware of, building complexity and tension in the plot. There weren't any particular parts I hated or did not like, but one part that I prefer would have not been included is when Henchard left Jane after finding out she was actually not his daughter and someone else's daughter biologically. Even though Henchard has the right to feel betrayed, I think it was too ruthless for him to leave a kid he took care of the entire time, also noting the fact that he already left her twice. As a child, also, just the fact that your parent dumped you twice made me feel uncomfortable a bit, and I doubted if the scene was really needed in the whole plot. The first theme is that the novel centers around the question of institution of marriage. In the novel, it is evident from the beginning when Henchard complains about being unhappy in his marriage. Since divorce wasn't an option in those days, he actually auctions his wife off to the highest bidder. While men have authority over properties, wealthiness, and family care, women are simply subjugated to them. The theme of gender and gender power are constantly revolving throughout the novel. The second theme is that throughout the novel, Henchard has very little to no control over his own personality. Inherently, Henchard was born with a bad temper and very little self-control. If he becomes jealous or angry, he'll act on his own jealous rage. If his mistakes are a result of his innate personality flaws, the complexity of sociocultural influence and nature needs to be examined, hinting at the potential second theme of nature overriding nurture and environment. I think the most pivotal symbol was the two bridges in the town of Casterbridge. The first bridge, which is in the lower part of the town, is usually for the poor people and the homeless class, while the second bridge is in the higher part of the town, which is for rich people like Henchard. The bridges itself show class divisions as it is serving as a gateway to two different sections of the town. However, after Henchard becomes poor in the ending, he uses the first bridge before he goes to kill himself. And that really shows that social class divisions can be demolished anytime and serves as a good symbol of social hierarchy and power. Looking back to the title, I think the Mayor of Kester Bridge is rather vague, ambiguous title where readers really can't guess the content based on the title. I recommend other titles that talk more about the character and the plot, such as Lover of Kester Bridge or Family of Kester Bridge. The lover and family part kind of emphasizes and talks about the family conflicts that's going to happen in the story, and keeping the name Kester Bridge foreshadows to the plot where we talk about a specific city throughout the whole book. Before I end, my favorite scene of this whole book was the introduction when Henchard sold off his wife and his daughter while he was drunk to the auction. I think this scene really shows the cruel nature of human beings, and it really allows you to reflect on your inner personalities and think how humans are able to perform such inhumane actions during extreme circumstances. Overall, I think this book is an excellent choice to anyone because it has a strong message about social greed, financial responsibility, and nature versus nurture. These concepts are important to learn for humans like us who are still paranoid and conscious on being rich, earning money, and having social title. By reading this book, people can take a step back and reflect on their inner process and recognize that money isn't everything. Specifically, I want to recommend this book to anyone who is still focused on social class and not having enough money. Like Henchard shows, money does not guarantee happiness, that in fact, money can be the sole factor that brings one's life down. Overall, I'll give this rating an 8 out of 10.